This is the Blood Red podcast from the Liverpool Echo.
Hello and welcome to the Debrief live on the Blood Red YouTube channel after Liverpool made sure of their place in the Champions League last 16 by beating Ajax by 1-0 at Anfield. The Reds are now guaranteed to progress as group winners, meaning Jurgen Klopp can give some players a much-needed rest in Denmark next midweek. A whole host of injuries, of course, for Liverpool going into the game, as I'm sure we will get onto very shortly, but Liverpool did the job. And joining me to analyse the game, I should say, and give you all of the post-match reaction you need is Kai Delaney. Kai, I think you were last on the show with me on match day 1 when Liverpool went to Ajax and won by 1-0. They've done exactly the same thing tonight.
They have, yeah. It's nice to get the game wrapped up, game week 5. Have the have the week spare to hopefully rest some players. Klopp's been very vocal about the fixture pile up and everything with the condensed season, so he'll be very happy have that spare game to come, and a great performance from some of the younger players as well. So some of the main guys have got a rest. The younger guys have stepped up and job done.
Absolutely. I think job done are the two words that will be being passed around that Liverpool dressing room. They obviously wanted to get this done tonight. And the goal which got them the 3 points came, of course, from Curtis Jones, his first in the Champions League for Liverpool. I thought generally, as well as the goalie, he just played really quite well in that midfield and did that responsible job, as we've talked about plenty of times over the last couple of weeks. In that midfield, he just looks more and more like a Liverpool player, and if you can add goals to that as well, it can only be a good thing for Liverpool going forward.
Yeah, of course, he's becoming more and more an important part of this team. There was a lot of talk back in the last season. Obviously, Adam Lallana was on the way out, and were they going to sign someone, or was Jones kind of ready to take that step up and become Klopp's kind of next option in that midfield to come in when some others maybe need a rest? And last few weeks he's been playing more and more, gaining more of Klopp's trust, and tonight again he was brilliant throughout. As you say, a very mature performance, not just with the goal but just generally. He was everywhere really, and kept the ball well and was tracking back, obviously an important part of Klopp's philosophy, tracking back and pressing at the other end. And a great performance. And then with the goal, it was a good ball from Nico Williams on his left foot, maybe a bit hopeful, just into the a good area at the back post. But really, it's one of those the keeper should be getting it. Let's not make any bones about it. It's a goalkeeper mistake at the end of the day. But fair play to Jones. He's not given up. He's followed it in, and he's probably got half a second to react. He'll be expecting the goalkeeper to collect that all day, but when he doesn't, he's got a split second to react, and he's done very well. Just a lovely little deft finish on the outside to guide it in there. So yeah, another good performance from him, and he's certainly doing himself no harm in getting himself into Jurgen's reckoning.
Yeah, he's played quite a few games recently, probably mainly down to the injuries, but certainly done himself no harm going forward for the rest of the season. Another one that you could say a very similar thing about was Caoimhin Kelleher, of course, between the sticks for Liverpool. We know that Alisson was injured, Jurgen Klopp confirming before the game it could be 10 to 14 days for him, but Kelleher came in, his first Champions League start, kept a clean sheet, looked really assured, and I suppose he'll have one eye on the Wolves game at the weekend, because if he can play like that again, you'd throw him straight back out there.
Absolutely. I think probably the highlight of his Liverpool career so far, without question. He's had a few sparing games at Anfield in the Carabao Cup, and Villa Park in the League Cup, and the rest of the team are in Qatar and things. But to be thrown into a Champions League game, and it wasn't a dead rubber either. It was an important game that they had to win to secure qualification, which they've done, and they've now topped the group. But big show of faith from Jurgen Klopp and his team, I think, putting him ahead of Adrian. Adrian has been the number 2 without any pressure really since he came in to Liverpool, and he's played a lot of games with Alisson's injuries and suspensions and things like that. But Keller he's played a great game tonight. Didn't have loads to do, but when he was called up on, he did everything that was expected of him. Made a great save in the first half from the long range shot outside the box, and then that header from Huntelaar in the dying minutes there, straight at him, but again close range, and he's done well to tip it over the bar. So that's the thing, when you're in goal for Liverpool, you're not going to have loads to do. You're going to have to be when you're called upon, you're going to have to be ready, and he was tonight. So yeah, he'll be absolutely hoping that he's done enough. And you can see when the full-time whistle went there, the first player Jurgen Klopp went to was Kelleher, ran over and gave him a big hug. And I'm not sure he'll be sleeping too much tonight. He'll probably be buzzing and a lot of texts and stuff when he gets back in the change room, I imagine. But yeah, he's obviously at the start. And I know you watch a lot more kind of academy games than me. By all accounts, he's been doing well for the 23s recently, hasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's always one of those that does well at academy level. You never quite know, especially with a goalkeeper, I think, how well that's going to translate to a first team game, especially against a team as good as Ajax. As you say, he didn't have loads to do, but certainly what he did have to do, he did absolutely superbly. He didn't put a foot wrong all night. And I suppose you could say similar things for Nico Williams at right back. He's sort of come under a little bit of scrutiny at times. I think in the first half, he kept it fairly safe, didn't take too many risks, defensively was pretty solid. And in the second half, his confidence just seemed to grow a little bit more. What did you make of his performance tonight?
Yeah, you're right. He grew into the game. You go back to the weekend, Brighton, he was obviously brought off at half time and didn't, it wasn't the most convincing there, I think it's fair to say, in the first half. But tonight, playing with more senior players around him, I think you've got, it's Salah in front of him and a lot more kind of senior figures in the middle compared to what he was playing with down at Brighton. But yeah, it's done him a world of good, and grew into the game, and getting that assist as well will only help him. I think the fact that now he hasn't really got any competition for the next couple of weeks as well. He's kind of in a no-lose situation. It's not like if he doesn't have the best game, he'll be dropped, because let's face it, Trent's out, Milner's still not going to be back in the team. So he knows he's playing at Wolves. He knows he'll probably be playing at Fulham as well. That might be a little bit too soon for Trent. So the next couple of games, you think, yeah, he'll be one of the first teams on the sheet. There's not really many other options. So one of the first names on the team sheet. So yeah, solid game tonight, and hopefully he can carry that forward into the next few games. But it's always difficult when you're coming in this Liverpool team. You're not only coming in at right back, but you're going to be compared to probably the best right back in the world as well, in Trent Alexander-Arnold. So if he can do half as well as Trent does on a regular basis, get a few deliveries in from that side, then Klopp will be happy if he can fill that gap until Trent returns.
Yeah, difficult player to play against as well, David Neres. I thought you dealt with him really, really well tonight. Just in terms of the midfield, we touched on Curtis Jones before. Gino Wijnaldum in there again, having to play another 90 minutes for Liverpool, needed because of the lack of options, really, as much as anything else. But I suppose with Liverpool losing him at the end of the season, there's a case to say, well, play him every single game. It doesn't matter if he gets tired or he gets a little bit of an injury. Liverpool are probably not going to have him beyond the end of this season anyway.
Exactly, yeah, run him into the ground while you've got him. But no, you look at the options. There wasn't, again, as we were just saying with Williams at right back, there wasn't a ton of options for the midfield three. Naby Keita put on his Instagram he was at home watching the game in a cinema room. He didn't travel tonight. So yeah, Wijnaldum, you know what you get. You never get below a 6 or a 7 out of 10 with Wijnaldum. And as you say, he's played almost every game in the last 2 or 3 seasons under Klopp, and he is an integral part. It's a shame what's happening with the whole contract situation there, but it does appear that like Klopp said the other day, everything is possible at this moment, but then he also brought out the Emre Can situation off his own back, so that might suggest that he's going to go the same way that Emre Can did. But while he's here, absolutely put him in. He's still giving his all and helping this team, and if he can play an integral part for the rest of the season, maybe help them to a Champions League or Premier League, then I'm sure Liverpool fans won't have any problems if that's how he goes on to leave the club.
Liverpool did okay going forward as well. Obviously, Roberto Firmino coming off the bench. Diogo Jota before him had done okay. It wasn't quite Mohamed Salah's night, but he did find himself in some good positions. And just to finish, I wanted to ask you about Per Schuurs at centre-back, of course. All 4 of Liverpool's attackers going up against him. I thought he did okay. He's, of course, been linked with a £27 million move to Liverpool, potentially in January. What did you make of him? I think he was probably slightly fortunate not to see red for that challenge on Sadio Mane, but apart from that, looked pretty good.
He was, yeah. That challenge could have gone either way. I think the saving grace was it wasn't too much further past the halfway line, but we all know how quick Mane is. He was through 1-on-1 and he could have gone, but no, on the whole, he played well. He seems to be straight out of the Matthias de Ligt mold, doesn't he? They've sold him for 70 million to Juve and then printed out another one and brought him straight in as a replacement. But yeah, I know you had the little pod on our channel this morning that went out, had a look into him, and he seems a great player. I think, was he captain tonight?
I think he was, yeah, still only 21. So yeah, very young captain, but yeah, he did a good job. And the Matthias de Ligt comparisons, as you say, from that podcast as well, that was kind of what we found out from that, and it seemed fairly accurate, I think.
Yeah, I think Liverpool could certainly do a lot worse given their current centre-back crisis. There's certainly a lot of options and players that I'm no doubt they'll be looking into, but it would be foolish to think certainly to not have him on your shortlist. And yeah, for this kind of 27 million that you're looking at, I think Liverpool could do a lot worse.
Yeah, absolutely. It's certainly a name to keep an eye on between now and January, and that is, of course, something that we will do. But that's all from us here on the debrief for tonight. Stay tuned for Jurgen Klopp's post-match press conference right here on YouTube. Plenty more reaction, of course, to come across Blood Red over the next couple of days too, before attention turns to Wolves on Sunday in the Premier League. Until then, though, from myself, Matt Addison, and from Kai Delaney, until next time, goodbye.
This is the Blood Red podcast from the